you're thinking about getting a new fish tank, and this video is for you. Hello everybody and welcome to ahaquariums. So today I'm going to be talking about what you need to do before you buy your first fish tank. So here it is. So number one, and a lot of people overlook this, is location. So where you're going to keep this fish tank in your house. You want to make sure that it's kept away from windows, from doors. If you think about a door with a handle on it, you don't want the handle smashing into your fish tank. You don't want it in an area where there's a lot of foot traffic and people might bang into the tank. And the other thing is, depending on what sort of fish you want to keep, they could be quite shy. So you don't want a lot of activity around your tank because those fish might hide, and you don't want your fish hiding, you want to be able to see them. So definitely think about location. The other thing is you want to make sure that that fish tank is in a relatively cool place in the house. And I don't mean a good place, I mean where it's cool temperature wise. Because certainly in the summer months, and especially if we're keeping tropical freshwater fish, there's going to be a heater in there. And we don't want that tank water heating up too much, because then we're going to get fried fish. And we don't want fried fish, certainly not in our fish tanks. So that's something to consider as well. A lot of people overlook it, but you definitely want to consider that it's in a quiet space in the house, it's in a relatively cool space in the house. So number two is tank size. Now, when starting out in the fish tank hobby, the bigger the tank, the better. And there's a couple of reasons for that. The main one is that it's going to be easier to maintain in the long run. The bigger the tank, the more stable the water parameters are going to be. Obviously, the bigger the tank, the more money it's going to cost. So I would aim for a 20-gallon tank or a 75-litre tank or a 10-gallon tank, which is a 45-litre tank. They're good tank sizes to start with. You can go a lot lower, but if you go a lot lower, a lot of those tanks are not going to be suitable for fish, even though the fish shops that sell them might tell you can keep fish in there. So I definitely aim for like a 10-gallon or a 20-gallon as a good starting point. The other thing to think about with the tank is whether it needs a cabinet for it. Now, many fish tanks will have their own cabinets which are supplied with them, or you pay extra for them. You can put the fish tank, especially if it's a 20-gallon or a 10-gallon, you could put it on an item of furniture you already have. Just need to be aware that 1 litre of water is around a kilogram in weight. So you just need to be sure that your furniture can handle that. And of course, that's just with water. So if you're going to be putting rocks in there, that's going to add to the weight as well. So just be mindful of that before you decide on whether you need a cabinet or whether you're going to put it on an existing piece of furniture. So item number 3 is going to be fish. Now, as it's your first fish tank, I would start with something quite small and relatively easy to keep. Something that's inexpensive. So I would look at maybe neon tetras or guppies, but just male guppies if you go for guppies, because you don't want to overload your tank with babies. So I'd just go for the males. They're going to be some of the easier types of fish to keep. And the other reason why I would say keep it inexpensive is because as it's your first fish tank, you can run into problems. It happens to all of us, and you don't want to be spending a lot of money on fish right at the beginning when you're still learning how everything works and how to keep fish. So I'd start small and inexpensive as well. The neon tetras and the guppies that I mentioned are, of course, tropical freshwater fish, so they're going to require a heater. There are temperate fish that you can get as well, such as white cloud mountain minnows. They're not going to need a heater, but definitely don't look at goldfish. Goldfish are very often marketed as being beginner fish, and they're really not. Goldfish tend to be for larger tanks, and they create a lot of mess as well, so you need a lot of filtration. So definitely not beginner fish, and I definitely would not recommend them, not for your first fish anyway. So number 4 would be where you're going to buy your fish from, where you're going to buy your equipment from. And for that, I would recommend trying to find a local independent fish shop. The reason for that is because the staff in those places tend to be very knowledgeable, as in they do that every day of their lives. In the big chain stores, as much as they would sell fish, sometimes they sell other pet products as well and other pets. And the knowledge of the staff in those places can be a little bit more diluted. So I definitely look at purchasing everything from an independent local fish shop as well. And the final item is decorations. So as you see from my aquariums, I like to use natural wood, natural rocks, live plants. And I do that for a variety of reasons. Firstly, to me, it looks good. And secondly, I feel like you see more of the natural behaviours of the fish. Now, unfortunately, for most people, you know, live plants and wooden rocks can be quite expensive. But if you can afford that, then I would definitely go with that. The other reason as well is that live plants and rocks and wood are going to provide more surface area for bacteria, which if you watch my video on the nitrogen cycle, and I'll also be doing a video on how to cycle your aquarium, you'll understand that when we're trying to grow bacteria in our aquariums, the more surface area, the better. So that's another reason why I do that. Yeah, that's going to do it for part 1 of this video. In part 2, I'll be looking at what equipment you need to buy for your first fish tank. I'll be recommending some equipment to you as well. So yeah, if you like this video, please leave a like, consider subscribing, and I will see you on the next video. Bye bye.